Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you being here. So, today's session is going to be all about soft startups. So, just to recap on the last 2 weeks of what we've covered. So, the first thing was we want to make sure that we are remembering that love languages are good because it gets us thinking about what our partner appreciates, which is really important. It's not always what we want. It's usually very different to what we want, and we have to learn what it's like. And what we learned last week was bottling is bad, and let's be honest. So now that we're starting to think about what our partners want that could be different to us, and we're learning to be honest with getting our annoyed feelings out. We need to know what's the best way of getting our bottled up feelings out, because it's definitely an art. There is a bit of science to it, but it takes a lot of practice. And so that's something that we can practice today and go through some Reddit questions. Right before we start getting into some Reddit questions, let's unpack what soft startups kind of look like. So it's definitely the words we use, it's our body language, it's the tone that we speak in. Usually, for me, it's really hard to recognize the tone I'm using, and that's something my husband's really sensitive to. So, yeah, becoming aware of all that is involved in the soft startup. And for women, this is for everyone, but it's so important to know what you want from the conversation. So if something's bothering you, it's a good idea to think about what you want out of this conversation, or bringing it up. So for some people, they just want you to listen. So if you tell your partner at the beginning, hey, I really need to get something off my chest, I'd really appreciate if you can just listen. I know some of it's going to be a bit hard to listen to, but yeah, I would really appreciate it. And then they kind of geared up to know what you want. So that's definitely important, and will help smooth things out if you know what you want and you ask for it, especially at the beginning. It's a very common thing for more usually men, I've noticed, where they just want to know what you want from them and they're happy to do it, and they listen a lot and they're like very confused and they go into fixer mode usually, or they just want to resolve, like stop you feeling the pain. And a lot of the times what you need is for them to listen, or you're too scared to bring up the thing that you really want to say, and you say all these other things first to kind of warm them up, and it kind of riles them up instead of warm them up. So go ahead, Jim, go ahead.
Hey, good evening.
Happy to have you on.
So good to be here. And I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge two great women in the room. You, of course, Kimya, and my friend MJ's. And, I love what you're doing because you are teaching people how to relate to one another a little bit better. And whether the rooms, whether people listen to this live now or pick up on the recording later, I think that it's really good stuff. And so I'm happy to be here. And MJ's, nice to see you. And she's a super lady, so I hope we get a chance to hear from her at some point too.
Yeah, I would love to hear about MJ's. I appreciate you being here so much. It means a lot to me. It really does vary every week. Last week we had like 17 people, and they start rolling in at different times. So yeah, the support means a lot, and I'd love to get to know you more and what you're about. And we're gonna have some Reddit questions, and I'm gonna ask you guys directly, if you're open to it, what you guys think. And because some of them are quite tricky, and it's not an easy answer a lot of the times, so it's good practice. So thank you so much for jumping in there, Jim. I appreciate you, and for the amazing connection with MJ's. Thank you. All right, so yes, so and keeping in mind that, how we start conflict, something that's bothering us, it's so important to have a soft startup. If you're kind of throwing something out there in the wrong way and your partner gets really defensive, which is very natural, and usually when we're, upset about something, we just like blurt it out, and then the other person gets really defensive. And it usually doesn't take very long for our heart rates to go above 100 beats. And if you're fit, it's over 80, and 80 beats per second, per minute, sorry. And, they've done a lot of research into this. And as soon as your heart rate is that high, the chance of you resolving an argument is less than 10%, and those regardless of if you're right or wrong. And so that's a really important. What we're learning here is to try and have a soft startup to reduce the likelihood of someone's heart rate going above 80 or 100, because it'll make a huge difference in the outcome of the thing that you're trying to bring up. So let's dive right into some real life questions. I'll start with some that I've heard personally in my own life, from people that we've helped out, and some my own examples too, because we're all learning, and that includes me too. We're all just improving our relationships. So for me, there was recently, as recent as last night, there was a situation where my cup was pretty full with my partner and with my husband, and I've always wanted to go to Santorini in Greece. And there's this expensive hotel that I did all this research to, and there was only one available for the time period that we're going to Europe. And I was really scared to bring up the price. And so I was giving this whole explanation about Santorini and the capital city, and like where it's pretty, and like what I really like. And at one point, my husband was just like, he was kind of, getting a little more upset as time passed. And he's like, just tell me what you want. What is the thing that you want? And I was like, there's this amazing place that I really want. It's like this price. And if it goes, like, I don't think there's anything else that's going to be that good. And he's like, okay, let's look at it. Let's get it before it goes away. And in that situation, it's so glad that I didn't delay it any longer. And, was able to get it out, because it was really getting at me that but I had no idea how he was going to react. I really thought he would react, not well at all. So that was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, that was a moment where I didn't play my cards the best I could have. If I had started off the conversation, just gearing him to where I'm at, like, my cup is pretty full right now from all these things that happened today. And I'd really love to ask you something if it's possible. It's really important to me. And then just ask the question. It would have been a lot smoother. So that's something I very recently, experienced and have to learn. Another one is, this one might be a little more subtle. So we had someone who, they were kind of in a more recent relationship of about 1 year together, and they went on a vacation together. And the partner, the male, he got up in the morning and he went and did his thing. And then the girl woke up, and she was like shocked that he was gone. And you know, for her, and then when she came and joined the group, she kept saying like, I can't believe you left without me, you know, I can't believe you did that. And just like a lot of criticism, like, what kind of selfish person I don't remember the exact words, but there was like a lot of character criticism in that way. And all he would do was apologize and say, hey, I'm really sorry, like I didn't mean to do that, all these things. And it was just this loop that kept going. And something that we had to notice very quickly was, what she was trying to communicate is, when we're on vacation, it's different to when we're at home. I would really appreciate you to wait for me or wake me up so we can leave together. And that was a different rule than what was in their house, because in their house, anyone wakes up and does their own thing. And this was like one of their first vacations together. So, you know, that was what she was asking for, but it didn't come out that way. It came out as criticism of repetition of the thing that went wrong that morning. And he was getting more and more frustrated about what else can I do? I've just kept apologizing. So once the ask of what she was asking for became clear, he was like, sure thing, absolutely. I can definitely do that in the future. That's not a problem. So that's another one. Now we're going to go into like some Reddit questions, and I'm going to ask Jim this one. So it's got a bit of a detailed explanation. So just to get us a full story of what's going on. So it's a 25-year-old female and a 33-year-old male. And it says, my boyfriend of 1.5 years is mad at me and won't talk to me for sleeping in another bed. So they were on a vacation in a 2-bedroom apartment. And she's saying that I get disturbed by light when I'm sleeping. He initially chose what room we'd sleep in, which seemed arbitrary. It was kind of like, I like this one better than for some reason. Let's sleep here. And I couldn't care less. Fast forward 3 nights, and I've had really hard time sleeping because of the bright white light from the construction side besides us that's on all night. I've tried the pillowcase over my eyes, the eye mask, trying to sleep in the other direction. None of it's worked. He sleeps through literally anything, and on the 4th night, I asked if he would be okay if we slept in another room. He kind of groaned a bit and said whatever and slept there maybe 2, 3 nights. I asked him almost every morning in jail how he slept, how he was feeling, and he'd always say the same. Meh, good, fine. Even at home, it's the same response. The odd time he'd have a weird dream and mention it, but overall it's pretty consistent. Last night he decided he wanted us to sleep in the other room again. I said again that I can't sleep there and I won't sleep in that bed. I asked him what was wrong with the other room and he had no answer. He just said, we're sleeping here tonight. I asked again if we could please use the room I sleep better in it, and he said no. He has put his foot down on things in the past like this and didn't really make sense to me. They never really negatively affected me and I didn't really care either way, so I went with whatever he wanted. But this time I really cannot sleep in this bed and I don't get why. Especially since he won't say why, and if there is a why, we hang out some more and ended up being intimate, which and with each other, which always makes me sleepy after. I fell asleep cuddling him and eventually got woken up by the light. I ended up getting up and sleeping in another bed. It's impossible to wake him up, and I didn't want to sleep in another bed anyways. He knew already I couldn't sleep well, and so I went over without waking him up to tell him or trying to get him to come with me. I figured he wouldn't really care. Fast forward to this morning. I went over to say good morning, see how he was sleeping, etc. He wouldn't talk to me and refused, and refused the usual morning hug. He was grumpy with me, and when he did speak to me, even when he did speak to me. And now he's been ignoring me all day. I don't really know what to do, and at this point, I feel like I did my best to communicate myself. I feel really guilty that he's upset, but I also feel like it's unfair that my request isn't being acknowledged or valued. I don't want him to be mad at me, and I feel conflicted. How do I go about resolving this? I want him to feel acknowledged and valid in how he feels, but also need to get my needs across. How do I do this? So this was a bit of a really long-winded one, but there was like a lot of key things in here of how it went down. So Jim, what do you think?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me this one because let me tell you something. I only got one thing for her, and it's a love story unicorn NFT. And please, for the love of God, call Kimya.
I appreciate you. Yeah, there's a lot to learn here.
Okay,
Yep.
because that is just way too much information. And if she's putting that much information on Reddit, I can only imagine what she's like IRL.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be mean here, but that's just too much. It's just too much. I mean, she needs, I can't help her. You have to help her. I'm serious.
Yeah, there's a
There's
lot.
too much to unpack there. And so my only suggestion is, if you're in a situation or you know someone like that, get them a Love Story Unicorn NFT, because Kimmy is the only one, like, really, I know qualified to unpack all that and help that person.
I appreciate you. I
Is that a
appreciate
cop out? Because I can't
It's
do
a
the
bit of a
guidance
cop out.
there.
It's a bit of a cop out. Let's unpack some of the things, because you're right. There is a lot. So that was definitely a good point you brought up. So one of the things is, they went into the 2-bedroom apartment, and he usually chooses the room they sleep in. Now, okay, but that, there was a few signs in there that he seems to be making the choices, and in the past, it seems like, she's being like, oh, I don't really care, it's fine, whatever he wants is okay. So I think she also has a problem speaking up for things and letting them get out of hand. Like, for something to get to this point, a lot of things are like quite out of hand, and the patterns that they've communicated with each other in the past are really shining here with how something as simple as this can turn into something so big. So definitely he seems to be calling the shots. She seems to be going with it. And it seems like when she brings up her concerns, it gets dismissed. And not even an explanation is being provided for why he wants to sleep in the other room and things like that. So to kind of, if we're kind of starting at this place and we don't know anything more about them at this stage, to clarify, probably a really good idea would be to, for the girl to sit down and have a proper chat with her partner. And, the one part, like, she can acknowledge, it's always good to acknowledge something that you can do better, just so it doesn't feel like you're fully just attacking them. So probably something like, I'm sorry I left in the middle of the night and slept in the other room. I'm sure waking up and not seeing me there, it was quite upsetting. I'm really sorry for that. And then go into what we're trying to keep a soft startup. So we start off taking ownership for a small part of it, at least, that we can. And then, yeah, jumping into it that, hey, look, my sleep is also important. I seem to be awake all night, every night. I've tried a lot of different things. I have asked you in the past, um, you know, why you don't want to sleep in the room that I want to, even though it's so important to me. And you didn't provide me an answer. So it's really important to me that you provide an answer, if that's something that she's looking for. And, like, not responding is not an option. Like, she seems to be letting him off the hook when he doesn't provide adequate responses, or just, says this is how it is. And that's not a two-way street in a relationship. That both people have to be accountable. And yeah, so he really needs to provide a response. um, it's not a very hard question. As a team, when you're a team, like, you're going to be tackling so much harder situations than this. So this is a really good practice for you being able to have hard conversations if you find this is a hard conversation. So yeah, not letting him off the hook, and really putting down that this is something that's important to me, and if you care about me, then I'd really appreciate seeing that with you sleeping in this bed with me and being supportive about it. And yeah, kind of like sticking with your guns. And if he does provide an explanation why, he really prefers the other room for whatever reason, you can take it into consideration. I'm not sure what he could say that would be that important as you not sleeping for, I don't know, about a week at this point. But yeah, I think the big takeaways are from this one, you know, the girl seems to be very go with the flow in the past, and letting him make, putting his foot down often and just making decisions for the both of them, and letting him off the hook when, he's a bit uncomfortable. I think she said he was ignoring her all day. That's just unacceptable, especially about something as frivolous as this, unless there's more going on obviously from his side that we don't know about. Maybe, like, I don't know, maybe from his side, like he recently cheated on her or something. Like, we have no idea about the full picture of what's going on. But yeah, just from this side of the story, that's kind of what's coming up. All right, let's go. Now we're just going to do really short ones and kind of,
Yeah,
um,
so
yeah,
that was nice. That was nice. I just wanted to, just offer a little transition here.
thank you.
I feel like I need to take a drink of water after that, or a deep breath. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. We need time to absorb, take it in.
Right in. One of my other favorite hosts, Uliana, she always takes a drink of water, and so I think that's good. It provides a nice pause. Go for it. Go on.
I appreciate you. It's a good pause. I should get my cup next time, be more prepared. All right. So, next one. Next one. It's all right. So, how do I tell my boyfriend that he's not invited to my sister's wedding? This is like a real question on Reddit, and it's not easy. You know immediately that they're going to get upset. I don't know how long they've been together. Um, but yeah, MJ, I don't know if you're up to the plate to take on this one. How would you soft start up something like that?
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for hosting these spaces. I wish I was very well aware of this project first and foremost. I'm really grateful that there's a project like this in Web3, and I just want to encourage you to keep going. And I'll show up as much as I can now. This is a very fun space. I'm like, this is
Thank you.
where you're like sitting at a coffee shop and there's a discussion. I would peek my ears and it's like, ooh, what are they talking about? But just some quick background. I'm not a relationship expert, but I am in holistic healing. I have been married for over 10, well, close to 10 years. Been
Oh,
with my
wow.
husband for quite some time and had my fair shares of up and downs relationships. And I'm just laughing when you ask that question because I have been through that exact situation before.
Oh, wow.
And
No
the
way.
only, yeah, and the only reason being, I don't know the reason for this girl's question, but the
Mhm.
only reason is because my boyfriend was actually an ex-boyfriend of one of the bridesmaids,
Oh, wow.
um, and they had very bad history. So
Mhm.
the bride and the groom, they're very conscious of energy, and they didn't want drama, and
Mhm.
they knew that the bridesmaid, granted she was a bridesmaid, she was, because she's a sister of the bride, she is very dramatic. So this, I can't predict the situation here that's in the Reddit,
Mhm.
but with I don't know if I have advice because I don't have um healthy advice with that, but I think the best way to go about it, if I was part of a wedding party and that was the situation, um, and I was a bride and the groom, I would let that girl know. Am I making sense here? Let's see. So pretty much what happened was the bride and groom sat down with the the bridesmaid, let her know that, hey, my friend, who was me at the time with my boyfriend, is gonna be seated away from us. Like they just were very intentful of where we were seated, so that way she didn't have to make eye contact or be too close to that person.
Mhm.
And we were respectful of the situation. We avoided each other as best we could, and in hindsight, we came there to celebrate the nuptials of the bride and groom. So with that, it happened. We both showed up together. I showed up with my boyfriend, which was her ex. She did her maid of honor or whatever her duties were, and eventually the party got wild, and she just eventually forgot, and it was just a celebration of love with the bride and groom. Um, so I don't know if I have advice for this. It's honestly one of those things. At the end of the day, your situation and the world really doesn't revolve around you, girl. And the guy, hopefully, he's mature enough that he doesn't cause more of a negative. vibe situation because it is a celebration. The wedding is meant for the bride and groom. So that's my take.
Yes. Yes. That's so amazing that you shared that story and that it was so related to something you've gone through. That's awesome. And yeah, like a lot of what you said is definitely correct and really good advice. And so, in the specific situation of telling your own boyfriend that they're not invited to your sister's wedding, you know, soft startups, just, maybe taking their hand, like, sitting them down, taking their hand, looking into their eyes, and saying, I just found out some news, and, in a really soft tone, that I know you're not going to like. I just found out about it, and I wanted to let you know as soon as I found out. I'm kind of hurt that this has happened, and I just need to tell you what's going on. So, and then just being honest that, for it's very likely that it could be a very similar situation to the one you went through. That, for this reason, they've not invited you to her wedding. If you're close to your sister and, you have very strong ones, and obviously you're like, I'm going to go still, because she's my sister, and I need to be there for her wedding. But yeah, I'm here to listen to all of your feelings about this. Get it all out, and if there's anything I can do to make this easier for you, just let me know. We're a team. And really trying to accommodate like the things that they're wanting. Yeah, that it's not an easy one. All of these are pretty hard questions, but that's probably, yeah. So you want to have that soft startup. You want to be honest with them. You want to just accommodate and listen to their feelings as much as they can. And it could be very natural that your boyfriend could be, again, we don't know what reason he's not being invited, but he could be like, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah, the why is a very important question, but you can look at it as a negative, as the boyfriend is a negative. But in hindsight, what I've learned too is oftentimes for a big occasion like that, especially if it's from a family or people who know you really well, um, family and friends, they don't want to invite the boyfriend. Maybe I don't want to speculate here, but I'll give an example. He's a raging drunk alcoholic and he gets to get really wild at parties. Just one
Mhm.
example, okay? Doesn't mean that's the reason on the Reddit. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Or it's just them protecting her so that she can, be a part of the wedding and not have to deal with that. Or they're trying to tell her something and maybe she just doesn't listen and she's avoiding the fact that he is a party animal and she doesn't realize that um, the girl that's asking the question could take it as an offense or she
Mhm.
can take it as I wonder why they don't want him at the party. And that's like the missing, like the big why would you not invite this person? Kind of have to take a step back. It's like, why would they not want to invite someone who's so important to me in my life? um, it would make sense if it was a max capacity and we're only inviting no kids or whatever. But it's really
Mhm.
strange to not be able to invite someone to your wedding and not have them bring a plus one. I'm assuming it's capacity reason, or is everybody else allowed to bring their guests, but this one person's being asked not to bring the specific person? There's a why, and the why is very important to address, and kind of just take a step back, and hopefully it's coming from a place of love, and it's something that she is so stubborn in the past that they know that they just have to make a firm he's not invited situation. So I'm thinking that's why.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really, really good point. The explanation makes all the difference. And thank you so much for bringing that up. And I love you. I love it when you guys speak and interact with this stuff, because I think we take so much more out of it when we have these discussions. So just a thank you to both of you for that. And never feel like you're interrupting. When I'm talking, I encourage it. I'm a big interrupter, so go for it. Yes, and this could be also a really good moment. If it is something like that, which it likely is, to have that discussion and also know your own boundaries. Like, for example, if it is bad behavior, or gets too drunk and that results in bad behavior, whatever it is. It's really important for you to, when you get this information that your family doesn't want your boyfriend there, for you to think, like, does this bother you? Is this something that needs to improve in your own relationship? And what are your boundaries? Is this getting close to a point? Like, what is your point of, I'm going to leave this person? Do you have a point where that's kind of close, or that's not a concern? And if it is a problem, and if it is starting to cross your boundaries, that is the perfect opportunity to address it and not let it drag out any longer. And doing it as softly as we can. Just physical contact works for a lot of people, even if it's just having your hand on their knee or something. It does depend on the couple. Some people are not into physical affection, and that's okay. But yeah, definitely, you need to, or for example, if you want to have this chat and he's about to cook dinner or run to the grocery store, setting up a time for, like, when's a good time to chat with you about something that's important, and then setting up a time, and maybe they feel more ready to have a conversation about it then. But yeah, and again, tying it back to one of the lessons we're learning to get today, like knowing what you want from the conversation. So, if it is something that's bothering you that you need addressed, what do you need to feel like the situation is improving? And having just a brief moment to think about that before you bring it up will make a big difference, because you can easily get into a spiral conflict by just going in circles. He's going to get defensive. He's like, you're attacking me, and like, attack you back about something. And it's like, what do you want to get out of this conversation? And having time to reflect on that before you get into it is could make a very big difference. I'm just had a quick chance to revisit the actual Reddit page to see what the detail of the situation was. And MJ's, I think you're on the ball. It was about his behavior and actually about drinking, and it was tied into depression and PTSD. And I think it was really upsetting the father and, like, her dad, and he must have had bad reactions with him, and then him feeling like the dad is rejecting him, like all of those dynamics. And it seems like the girl was saying that his dad was overreacting by not inviting this guy to the wedding. But yeah, there seems to be much deeper things at play here. So yeah, it seems to be affecting it to that extent that he's not being invited to the wedding. So it's a good opportunity to reflect and not let it drag out any longer, and have a plan on how to move forward. So definitely good job. You picked up the crux of it, which was like what is the heart of the issue. So well done for bringing that up. Okay, so this one's a little more lighthearted one, because usually they're quite heavy. So this is a married husband and wife. The male is 48 years old and the female is 25. And sorry, it's a boyfriend, girlfriend. And oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. My bad. It was husband and wife, male 48, wife 45. And it said, I hate when my wife asks me to move heavy furniture around the room to just see how it looks. Need a better solution. Jim, I know you're a strong man and a husband. I don't know if you've ever been asked to move furniture around just to see what it looks like. But that's something that could, maybe out of kindness, you might do it a few times, and then you might get bothered by this continuing. What do you think, Jim?
So I'm thinking that these people may have been married like, I don't know, 20 years. And if this is what he's complaining about, I'd say, they got it easy.
If this is his main problem, they got it easy.
Right. If this is what he's reaching out to the world with, is that, if he was my friend, I'd be like, really, dude, this is what you got a problem with? But that's as a friend talking to him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a rational solution for that. So I think he's should get like the little gliders that you can get for like $8 for like a pack of 12 little things that make it easy to slide heavy furniture around. And you should put that under all the furniture in the house. And
Ooh.
every time she asks, just be like, "Oh, sure, honey." And then he can easily glide the furniture around the room. That's exactly what I would do.
That's a really good answer for making, not compromise, just giving your wife everything she wants. And that's awesome. That is a great solution. It makes it much better on your back. And, your wife is still happy because she gets to see all the different configurations of the room. I don't know. I got an inkling, and obviously I don't know the whole story, but I got a feeling that this might be like, I don't know. I got a feeling that this is just the last straw. Like he's bottled up a lot of things, and maybe like this is the last thing where he's like, I don't know how to deal with this. I might be wrong. But if this was really built up and this was the final straw, then this would be a good opportunity for this person to just practice communicating something that's, small, but just expressing his feelings. Like, he could like sit down with his wife one day and just say, it actually like hurts my back every time I move the furniture, and I like really don't get it why you need to do that, or you know I don't know if this is like really a big deal for him. He can say, is there a way we can compromise? And the elastic slider, the glider thing is a great idea. If you hadn't thought of that, then maybe like brainstorming together how this is something that bothers you. Is there a way like you can not do it, or you can help in a different way, or you can encourage her to Google different like things. But yeah, it's completely okay to express if something is bothering you and you don't want to do it. If it's really getting at you. If it's not getting at you, go for it. But yeah, you kind of got to pick your battles. If you're looking to, if you got a much bigger grievance, this is not the one you want to pick your battle on. But maybe if you don't have many grievances and this one's the one that's really getting you, but you can help more somewhere else, then it's fine to bring it up. Even though on the surface it seems like, it's a very small thing. We don't know. Maybe she's asking him to do this on a daily basis or like a weekly basis or something crazy. So we don't know. Any questions?
Well, honestly, with the sliders, she could
Yeah.
actually just do it herself.
Exactly. Yeah, brainstorming it. Like, I really don't like doing it. Is there any chance you feel comfortable doing it? Exactly right. Sliders make that possible. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Before we jump on to some other Reddit questions, is there any questions you guys have in your own relationships where it's just something that's been nagging at you or bothering you, and you don't know how to say it? Anything like that comes immediately to mind?
I'm going to. Can I just add something to that Reddit
Yeah,
question?
of course.
You know what? There are certain I don't want to say older couples, but people who have been in relationships for a long time, and just being around a couple of friends who have been around for a long time in their marriage. I think it's a really cute question, but at the same time, there's an underlying hurt that may be coming from this gentleman that asked this very honest, very innocent question. It comes off funny, right? But then you think about it, I'm like, I wonder if his wife just treats him like a handyman or a prop, you know? That's the other inner working of kind of reading between the lines. Like, why would anyone write this question out? So I'm just curious, whoever this is, I hope that she doesn't, and she doesn't treat him like a handyman, and he's feeling hurt and probably just grieving his frustrations and feelings out there. But when it comes to my own husband and my situation, I actually have to go downstairs and eat dinner soon. That's the thing that we're going through right now. Is there's a storm, so it's kind of loud right now. We lost some internet for half the day yesterday. Finally got internet back, and we're the I do want to continue this conversation, but I don't know if it's so much of a couple question. It can actually be an issue that housemates or parents or just friends even that live together. There's house chores and there's house things that need to be done. We have two kids, so there's parenting, that there's a lot of layers to my own relationship. But the one thing that we're kind of struggling with right now is we both work from home, and the balance of kind of doing all these different things. Like today, because we lost power, he had the opportunity to go to the cafe while I stayed home and did all of the house stuff, got the kids ready for school, and then they obviously just got home from school. So now he's downstairs and I was doing my work. I'm on the spaces with you and multitasking and work. I work in Web3. So I'm doing a bit of everything right now. And I can hear the kids was like, Mom, dinner's ready. I'm like, hold on the spaces. And I'm having an interesting conversation with other adults. Okay, hold on, I'll be right there. So, so that's my issue right now. Is like the balance of kind of just setting my boundaries with my family. Is like, hey, dad got his work time. Now mommy's gonna have her work time. So I already know the answer to this. I've gone through this for years of just winging it out. But I think if I ask the question, and hopefully Jim, I've talked to Jim extensively about this too. We had a friendship growing up because we worked on a project together. So he did give me advice, and I would give him advice in return. So I'm gonna hop off so I can have dinner with my family, but hopefully Jim can continue the conversation. And I definitely want to circle back and visit more of these spaces. I think they're great, and I just want to say you're doing great. I love your projects, and again, if there's no one in the spaces, or if there's one person in the spaces, or people who eventually listen, just continue to tell these stories, because it will resonate with people and they won't feel so alone in their own relationship struggles. So I really appreciate it, and thank you for what you do.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything you said. One thing before you go that might help is just figuring out with your boundaries what it is that you want. So you might really appreciate being able to jump out and do what your husband did, get away from the kids and have him take care of it. And maybe you'd be like, once a week, I really need that. Whatever it is you want, I think that might be a good thing to think about and bring up and say, this is really important for me.
Oh yeah, we're definitely taking turns. I'm not one of those housewives
Good.
that are on my side. Oh, you do what you want, babe, and I'll just sit here and watch the kid. No, I am not, and Jim will tell you that. We have a
I'm
very
glad.
healthy balance. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to the
Amazing.
cafe tomorrow. So thank you
Amazing.
for that.
Thank you. Take
Enjoy
care.
your
Have a great
dinner,
dinner.
and Jace. It's
Thank you, Jim.
great
Have a
to
good
talk
night.
to
Bye,
you
guys.
tonight. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
All right.
All right. All right. All right.
So
All
let's
right.
do one more question.
Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Okay. So so this is a female that's 27 and a boyfriend that's 33. And it says, my new boyfriend, so recognizing it's a new relationship, my new boyfriend criticizes my career choice. So that's a bit of a stab at the career choice. And yeah, what do we think about that?
I'd kind of like to know what her career choice was. I mean, maybe, if she's like standing on the corner with, soliciting, I might criticize that, but I don't have enough information to help this person. So I would have her be more expressive when she's asking for advice, first of all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But let's just pretend, for the sake of this example, that she's a real estate agent or something that isn't a solicitor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, I think she should just have a chat with them and say, hey, this is what I feel comfortable doing. It's where I'm at now. It might not always be what I want to do, but this is the path I'm on right now. And, it's going to take me where it's going to take me. Sometimes I, think about other things too, because she probably does, I'm assuming. But this is where I'm at. So I'm just going to have to be the best I can here and see where life takes me. I mean, that's kind of the advice I would give someone in that situation. And, if it happened to be that that was the only thing they ever wanted to do, then I would just lean into that and say, look, this has been my dream. This is what I want to do. I guess, it might change later, but it is what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I might go something along those lines and just do that in a nice, calm manner, not overly defensive or anything, but.
Yeah, really important points. And to get a bit of background about what careers this person actually had. So they were a teacher and the boyfriend was an architect. And and that's an important point as well, that they might say a comment in passing and not even think that they were criticizing your career, but it's something that offended you, just with their choice of words. So sometimes bringing it up and, just, highlighting that, hey, like when you said this comment, actually, like, really upset me because it made me feel this, and like it upset me because of this. So yeah, if, maybe we can not say that anymore, or, say it in a different way, or what did you mean by saying that? Were you actually trying to take a dig at my career or something like that? And, having that conversation, and if this architect person really just only respects other architects, he should be with an architect if he's not willing to grow in this space at all, and putting his career above what this other person. So there's a lot to unpack. It could be just he didn't know. It could be it's deep rooted. It could be like he's making fun of her a lot and making a lot of snarky jokes that are not nice at all. But yeah, it's definitely not letting this slide, addressing it, and putting good things in place to make sure it's not something that continues, because it's not very nice. And yeah, getting to the heart of it, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, especially if I was the teacher in this situation, I mean, I would, well, I mean, it's you have to try to figure out what his motives are. So I would encourage her to find out what his motives are for saying that. Is it because she's not paid as well as he thinks she could be? It could be because she's having to work some sort of set of hours, or having to bring work home with her, or work. Maybe he thinks that she's just being overworked. A lot of teachers are overworked and underappreciated, and sometimes it could be coming from a place of, look, I don't think they respect you enough. I don't think I think that you don't get enough respect there, and so whatever the case, she obviously, if she's raising this particular question, then she obviously loves what she's doing. Otherwise, she wouldn't be, she might be leaning into his questioning her choice of careers as well. So I think that she really needs to explain what it means to her to be a teacher, because we need great teachers, and she, is probably one of those, if she's willing to defend that role that she's in. So I think she's got to explain why it's important to her.
Yep, and I think you touched on a really good point there where you said it could also be related to finances. Absolutely. Maybe they're going through, a financial pinch right now, and, it's just aggravating some of these things that wouldn't be otherwise. And maybe there's like a bigger thing at play here where they kind of need to figure out financially what they're doing. Maybe, I don't know if he's a student. I assume he was just, a working architect, but who knows how many kids they have and what their lifestyle is. Yeah, so that's definitely a good point to bring up as well. And another thing that it made me bounce to the idea of is um, this could also be, she might have seen this as a criticism of her choice, but maybe, he has a lot of respect for teachers and he was just trying to encourage her to get, go and teach at a place that appreciates her more and apply somewhere where she feels more recognized and valuable and maybe even paid better. um, but yeah, there could be so much to this, and that's why such small things, I really want to hone in on this. When people make slight comments or things that bother you a little bit and you think, oh, this shouldn't bother me, or like something like that, address it, because these things build up, and every time it happens again, you know it amplifies, and then you're carrying this weight with you, and you usually don't even realize you're carrying this weight until it keeps happening, and then you think, oh, this is so silly, I shouldn't even be upset about something like this. And this is blown into this much bigger thing, and you're going to react, much more intensely about it than if you address it the first time when it's kind of lighthearted still. So, yeah, thank you so much for diving into that. And yeah, unpacking it with me. I appreciate it. So, that's the last question for today, and we will catch up next week with another new thing to learn about love and relationships.
That's awesome. Well, thank you once again for hosting this, and I hope that this lives lives forever, and that touches many people's lives.
I appreciate you, Jim. Have a lovely night, and I'll see you later.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.